Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the Radical Edge of HR with HR Knowledge Source. And I am, of course, your host, and so happy to be here once again. I'm Tanya Hawley, and today's topic is holiday inclusivity. And I always bring the experts with me because they know a lot more than me, and I learn just like you all do. So, once again, we've got our favorite, let me say, one of our favorites. We can't show bias in that. One of our favorites, Miss Alma Hooks. Hey, Alma.
Hey, Tanya.
Welcome back.
Thank you so much. Excited to be back as always.
It's always my pleasure. We always have some great talk, great
Mhm.
conversations. And once again, we're going to do it. And you all know she's the expert, y'all. But just go ahead and introduce yourself officially and tell them what you do at HRKS, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. I am Alma A. Hooks, and I am the DICE practice lead for HRKS. DICE standing for Diversity, Inclusion, Culture, and Equity.
Thank you. I had a little delay in my screen. Hopefully, we're back on track. So, thank you for
Oh yeah, no
introducing
worries. I
yourself.
was like, am I supposed to be saying something else about myself?
No, it was delayed. It was delayed on my end. So hopefully
All
we'll be
good.
okay and everything will work out great. So thank you for that great introduction. And she is definitely the expert, everybody. She is that person. So then that's why she's here. We're going to talk about this because you know what? Rubber bells. It's the season. It's the holiday season. And it is sometimes not always celebrated by everyone. People have different beliefs. And we're going to talk about that today. They have different traditions. Um, and how we can be inclusive in that space. So let's go ahead and jump in. We only have a few minutes, but we're going to just touch on this and hopefully give you all some nuggets that you can take with you and utilize in your day to day activities. So, the first question I have for you, Alma, is how can we ensure that holiday celebrations in our workplace or community, and when we say workplace, that could be a virtual workplace too, how can we include diverse cultural and religious traditions?
Yeah. So the first thing that comes to mind for me is having a committee, and that committee being of diverse people, diverse not only from different, racial or ethnic backgrounds, but religious backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, because people celebrated their holiday in different ways, and you want all of those perspectives incorporated when you're planning for the last quarter of the year. I will also say when you're planning, do it in advance so you can be more intentional, because typically when we're rushing, that's when we make mistakes and that's when our bias shows the most.
Mm.
So that diverse committee is really important to not only know what holidays we're going to celebrate, how we should poll our employee work group to see what's represented, but
Mm.
also intentional ways of doing it so it doesn't turn into like cultural appropriation.
I love that. You know what I thought of when you said that? I thought of when people hire someone that have never done the jobs, or they're over a whole department and they've never done, let's say there's 5 different positions and jobs that they've never done any other jobs, but they come in and they're the supervisor, and or they're they're over those departments, and it's kind of hard. They don't know what they do, so how can you lead them if you've never been in their shoes or experienced what they experience or do it? So that's what I thought of. If you're not in that culture, you don't have that background, you may not know all the ins and outs. You may not know that they don't cross their T like we cross our T, and
Right,
you may do it wrong, and it may be
right.
insulting in some ways even. So to avoid that, I love the idea of having a committee of everyone being involved, and you have the input, for lack of a better term, straight from the horse's mouth. So,
Yeah, you know what? That was such a good example because it made me think of, would we be having a room full of men making policies for mothers, right? Like maternity
mm,
leave
hmm,
policies or policies that impact women. Would we
right.
do that? And your average person be like, no, that's ridiculous. Well, then why would we have a room full of, let's say, Christians making decisions for people that, celebrate Judaism or Islamic faith or Hindu faith, right? So that's why we need that collective bunch and not just one. Try to incorporate a few, right? Several from those different subgroups so
Right.
you can have that true
Yes.
diversity of thought.
I love that. Yes. And everyone, if you are here watching, listening, please let us know you're here. Say hi to us in the
Yes,
chat. And we'd love to. And if you have questions as well or comments, please go ahead and
please.
put those in the comment section as well. So let's move on to our second question. I like this one. This is interesting to me. What steps can be taken to create a holiday calendar representing our team members' diverse religious and cultural backgrounds? I love that whole idea, creating a calendar.
Yeah. So I am a prime believer if you can't do it yourself, get help. Obviously if you have people in the organization to help out with that, that would be amazing. If you have a director of diversity, that would typically be the person who spearheads that, people and culture person who spearheads that. But again, that might not be their specialty. So like what I did this year, I reached out to a consultant that already created this amazing holiday
Mm,
calendar. Her name is Camille Leak, and she is like a social justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion warrior. She's incredible. And what makes her calendar better than any I have seen, including the ones I've tried to do myself, is because she not only gives you the calendar, month by month breakdown of the different religious holidays,
mm,
but she also gives you information just so you can learn more about the religion. And in those months, she shows where they overlap. So, like, how beautiful is that
nice.
to be able to see where some of these holidays and celebrations are overlapping? And then you bring that up in the workplace in some type of way. Last thing I'll say is she will also put notes on what to expect around these times. So people might request work off, or people might not be able to work to sundown, and like all of these
Mm,
things to
nice.
help leaders navigate that time a little bit better. So you
Oh,
can be more inclusive, right?
absolutely. I love that
Yeah.
idea. That is
Yeah.
really neat. Do you have that? Do you actually have the physical calendar?
I do. Am I able to share? I can share real quick. I love this thing so much.
Well, let's not
No.
screen share because
Okay.
StreamYard is a little different, but can you
Okay.
hold it up at least?
No, everything I do is virtual.
Oh, it's virtual.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. It's a virtual calendar, but
My bad. Okay.
no worries. If anyone wants to, again, she sells them. Please, Camille Leak. She is on LinkedIn.
Spell
This
her
is
name for me,
Camille.
hmm
Last name Leak, Leak.
please.
By far the best inclusive holiday calendar I've seen thus far.
Thank you for sharing that. And you did
Yeah.
share with me offline, so that's
Yeah.
why I was it's where I looked it up. I think it is beautiful. I mean, the job she did. So
Hmm.
we give kudos where kudos um, are deserved, and she deserves that shout
Absolutely.
out
And
based on that calendar. I've never seen
and
anything
and
like
that's like also a part of being inclusive, right? Like regardless of your positioning within a workplace, share the air, right? Create a platform for people to share
it.
their brilliance, and that's also a part of this whole inclusivity, even when celebrating different holidays.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Let me say hi to people that have joined us. Thank you so much, Monty and Ursula. Thanks for joining us.
Hey,
Gina
y'all.
Lavita Hudson, thanks for coming and joining us. Stephanie Vincent, Renee Clark. Hey, Renee. Talandria, Cecile, thank you for coming. Thank you all so
Oh,
much for
yay.
joining
Thanks,
us.
everyone.
Yes, so let's go ahead with our next question. This is some good stuff, everybody. Um, how can we promote a culture of respect and understanding during the holiday season, considering our community members' various beliefs and practices?
Yeah, so I think this can be as small as the way you greet people and the language you use, and the decorations you pull up over the holidays, and
Mhm.
as large as ways you're commemorating and including people within conversation. So what do I say, what do I mean by that? When you go into the workplace, right? Like, are you only putting up Christian type of decorations, and Christian meaning Christmas, Christ is born. Are we putting up Christmas trees and, the Mother Mary and all of these different things? And I appreciate that as a Christian woman, but I can also wonder, what does it feel like for a Muslim person? What does it feel like for a Jewish person? What does it feel like for a Hindu person, where maybe they didn't put up anything for Diwali, but now you see all of these different things for Christian holidays. So decorations are huge. Um, Another thing that you can do is, like, like a potluck, right? Where people can now bring
Mhm.
their culture in. We talked about potlucks for a while, because
Mhm.
we both love food, but ways to incorporate other people's culture.
Mhm.
I would also say, when I talked about language, are you just saying Merry Christmas to everyone, or are you saying Happy Holidays, or are you keeping it open ended for people who might not like the holidays because it represents something traumatic for them? Like,
Right.
let's remember that the holidays really suck for some people.
That's
So
true. That's
how
really
are we
true.
being sensitive to that as well? Instead of saying, what are you doing for Christmas, or what are you doing with your family, saying something like, do you have anything planned for your time off, if they have time off?
Mhm.
And then the last thing I'll say, more from a structural perspective, for organizations that have, paid time off with their policies, do they have as many floating holidays as they do paid time off Christian holidays? Because what I often see is, you see all these American and Christian holidays that you get paid time off, but then you get two floating holidays that people can use for their own religious celebrations. And oftentimes that's just a drop in the bucket that doesn't really encompass everything. So, like, how are you being fair and equitable within your policies to also show people, we embrace you, we celebrate you?
That's some good nuggets there. I never would have thought of that, how many days we have off.
Mhm.
And I think, what do you say to the argument, well, you're in America? You're in America, so those are American holidays. What do you say to that?
Tanya, my heart, I've learned to pay attention to my body. Girl, my heart started beating because I'm like, what? But what
I
I
can
would
see
say in
somebody
a
saying that. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what I would say in a professional setting is that America is a melting pot. Number one.
That's good.
So America, it's a tapestry of cultures and colors, and so we should be able to celebrate that. And I will also say, in America, in this organization that is here, we are made up and we encompass of different people. And I'm sure we would want to tap into those American values, or Christian values, that says love each other and take care of your neighbor.
Mm,
And
mm.
yeah, so
You are good.
I
She's
would
good, y'all. She's
I
good.
would
I
I
told
would
you.
say something like that after I clutch my pearls.
I told y'all I had the expert here. That was really good. I love it.
Great question though.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I didn't
Oh,
get
this
the
is a good
questions.
one in the chat, Tanya.
Yes. Okay. Um, Renee is saying, keeping an open
Oh,
mind. Is that what you're speaking of? Keeping an open mind when it
hmm,
comes to your words around the holidays. Not everyone celebrates the same things, and not all people celebrate. Sometimes the holidays are the best time of the year for people. For others, they're the worst. Yeah. Well said,
yeah.
Renee.
Yeah,
Very good.
absolutely. Which is why I mentioned, like, that socioeconomic piece, people from different socioeconomic backgrounds, like a part of your committee. Because if you live a life of privilege, your Christmas probably looked very different growing
Yes.
up
Yes.
than maybe someone who came from like humble beginnings. And
Mhm.
so we want to know how to engage with both and celebrate both, and even with icebreaker questions, not like, oh my goodness, what was the best gift you ever had? What if somebody never received a gift for
Yeah.
Christmas, right? So you want to find ways and get those different perspectives, to
Hmm.
what Renee was saying.
Yes. And one thing I did think of, when you were talking about, you know, your decorations in your office, maybe are they all Christian oriented, Christmas trees and all that? I was thinking, if you do decorate with different things to represent different cultures, it would also spark, or could spark, conversation, because for
Absolutely.
those that don't know about it, it might pique their interest, and you create a learning environment, or you could possibly, which I
Oh my
think would be great,
gosh.
because they may have not had the opportunity to talk to someone about that, or even seen it or been around anyone that celebrates that. So it's a great learning opportunity as well as conversation and communication over.
Oh, yes.
Um,
You're so right. I thought about like the menorah, right? You have a menorah up now, you get to talk about what that means.
mm,
Or if you have Hispanic employees, their Noche Buena is just like our, Christmas Eve, but how they celebrate it is differently. How amazing is that when you have symbols of different things and then you get to talk about it and build even further connections? So, yes, how amazing would that be?
yes, it gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling. Which kind of leads us to our next question, which is about open communication, how to encourage open communication about holiday preference and traditions so we can understand better and accommodate everyone's needs. So we kind of talked on that. Was there anything else you want to touch on in that question?
Yeah, I'm a huge proponent of polls. Like poll your employee group, because I also know that people fall victim to groupthink. So you might be the only one in the group that has a certain opinion that might be different, and some people don't feel comfortable to speak up. So I think anonymous polling, would be great to get that feedback. You can do different team building activities during meetings or outside of meetings to garner some opinions on better ways to communicate and how frequently to communicate, when should they start, and also what would represent people the best. So yeah, I'm a big fan of polls, as well as having different topics as an item agenda in your meetings. So now this is a reoccurring conversation that people can expect.
Wonderful ideas as usual. I'm trying to type some of them in here so people can have them. Um, oh,
Oh, thanks.
oh, they're in there. Here we go. Okay. Yes. Thank you for that. So we just got a few more minutes and I have a couple more questions. And again, anyone has a point or comment, feel free to continue. We're so glad to have you all here. How can we celebrate the holiday season in a manner that is inclusive and welcoming to individuals who may not observe traditional holidays? So we're kind of touching on this in some of the other ones, but I just want to make sure if there's anything else you wanted to share specifically with that question.
Yeah, I mentioned a potluck. So potlucks are great. Earlier, I also think like storytelling is really important. So it
Hmm.
doesn't have to be, tell us about a time around Christmas. It could be a great memory in December, a great memory around this time. If your family took vacations, if they didn't take vacations, like if you have a family, if you don't have a family, what makes this moment special for you? And then I think also activities around forward thinking. So this time next year, what do you want to be doing? What do you want to be seeing? Because that is the leveling playing field now. We're not back based in our past, we're based on where we are now and what we can actually impact moving forward. So storytelling, potlucks, being able to just share on different topics, I think really helps to create that inclusivity, even if you don't celebrate holidays at all.
Hmm. That's really good. I thought one person was sharing a memory. In their religion, they did not celebrate Christmas growing up, but he told me his mom would always still get them gifts so they wouldn't feel left out. So it was kind of a
So
fond
sweet.
memory for someone that didn't
Yeah.
celebrate Christmas, but his mom would always make sure she didn't want them to feel left out because of what everyone else was doing. So they always would get gifts regardless. So I guess it was just gifts because really, but it was
Yeah.
a great memory, the fact that which is really sweet that his mom did that. Um,
You made me just think about a time I put my foot in my mouth, which is what made me so passionate about this, because this was like kind of fresh out of college, had never really didn't realize I worked around different religions, and there was a guy who was Jehovah Witness. It was around Christmas time. Wasn't very familiar with the religion. We wound up becoming really good friends, me and his family. So then I learned a lot about how they celebrate things. But I was like, "Oh, so what you doing for Christmas?" And he was like, "I don't celebrate Christmas." I'm like, are you Jewish? And he was like, "No, I'm Jehovah Witness." I'm like, are you Muslim? He's like, "No, I'm Jehovah Witness." I'm like,
yeah,
"So what you do then?" Right? It was complete disconnect, and thank goodness he
yeah.
had grace to explain things to
Mhm.
me. But that's when I learned right then and there. It was like, okay, we got to approach this completely differently.
Yeah, that's interesting. That how that came about. Luckily, he did have grace, but there's you were so innocent in doing it. It was just like, what? What do you mean? What's that mean? You really want to say, what's a Jehovah Witness? That's really what you
Right.
didn't
Like you don't
understand that.
get
Okay. Yeah.
gifts. Like what? Right.
Right.
So
Oh, the things we say in our youth.
right.
All right. I got one more question, and we only probably have time for one more. Are there any alternative ways to acknowledge and celebrate the holiday season that goes beyond specific religious or cultural observances, fostering a sense of unity among diverse groups?
So something you did is the first thing that came to mind, and I thought it was really cool. And I talk a little bit more about it. What you're doing with HRKS in the playlist.
Oh, thank you. Almost forgot about that. Like, what did I do? What did I do?
Right, right. I do so many great things.
Oh, yes, thank you, Alma. Thank you. No, so we came up with a HRKS playlist, music playlist. But what we actually did was ask everyone to send us a couple of their favorite songs for the season, holiday songs. So everyone has different taste in music. So the playlist is a representation of it's a melting pot of music because everybody has different tastes, different likes. You know, some like country, some like jazz, some like hip hop. So our playlist is a reflection of what everyone liked. It is how cool is it to have that? You can sit down and listen and know that this came from everybody at HRKS. Um, and everybody, I believe, participated, you know, gave us their song preferences. And we have a wonderful playlist that represents our wonderful team. And anyone can do that. You might come up, you know, you never know what you might come up with. Because I sure did. And a lot of those songs were new. We got some classical, we got some jazz, we got some blues, you know, get some hip hop. It's a very nice melting pot that everyone is enjoying. So that is a great way of bringing everyone together, make everyone included. And every
It's
song is on there too.
It is such a great way. And imagine if we had team members like from different parts of the world, right?
Hmm.
Like encouraging them to add songs from their culture,
Hmm.
not like Americanized Christmas songs or holiday songs, but what would you play if you were in your country with your family? And imagine like the conversations that spark from something
Hmm.
like music. I just think what you're doing is incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Hmm.
Very easy request, you know, from people, and people often like to be asked. You know, they want to share, and it doesn't have to be the holiday. It could be,
Right.
you know, it could be any time. Just what's your favorite songs and why? Because there could be stories behind all of that, which encourages and opens that communication for people to start sharing. You know, why they chose it, what they believe, or you know, those kind of things. So
Right.
um, that and that, you know, the potluck are my favorite. Food and music, hey, that works for me.
Man,
Works for me each
I
every
feel
time.
like potlucks are so underestimated. And again, maybe because I just absolutely love food, but when you have a potluck that has, Jamaican dishes, Russian dishes,
Yeah.
Spanish dishes, African dishes, African American dishes, and you can like really talk about that and talk about recipes. And most people have some type of positive memory with food, and a lot of times it's
That's
with
true.
someone significant to them. Like I
Mhm.
remember being in the kitchen shucking greens and popping peas with my grandma. Right now, will I do that nowadays? No, like cut my greens up and let me buy it in a bag, please, right? Because I did enough of that growing
I
up, but just the
understand.
memories that come up and there's family traditions and you really get to share. So, the last thing I'll say is in addition to food and music, save time to share and connect in the workplace. It might seem simple, but right now this is Q4 for a lot of people. So you're trying to hurry up and get stuff
Yeah,
done, finish deliverables before the year is out, like all of these things so you can close the laptop and really enjoy your vacation. But don't forget, a part of this time is connection. So create an atmosphere and a space for that as
mhm.
well.
I love that. And a lot of times that's what people say the best gift you can give someone is your
Yes.
time. Um,
Yes.
Renee says, great point, Ama. Having the ability to make everyone feel included rather than shamed or alone around the holidays is a beautiful thing. The
Yes.
holidays for me are about togetherness and generosity. Nicely put, Renee.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. Oh, it's one last thing I forgot when I mentioned meetings and just holiday times. Having that calendar really helps you to be mindful too, because then you won't schedule meetings
Mm,
during times people need to be off, or you won't be requiring, extreme deliverables and deadlines around sacred times for specific people. So it again allows you to be really intentional. So that's okay.
mm.
I'm off my soapbox
No,
now.
that's great. Those are great tips. Yes, I'm so glad you shared that. Well, we've come to the end, everyone. The end of our radical edge of HR, and also our last radical edge of HR for the year. So
Ah.
we thank you, everyone, for joining us. We wish you happy holidays, happy Kwanzaa, happy Hanukkah. What else, Alma? What,
Um,
anything else you
you
can
put
say?
me on the
I'm
spot.
sorry. Okay.
Yeah, no
You were
worries.
speaking
No
different language throughout the day, so I thought you were going to come up with
worries.
I didn't know what you were saying for some of that stuff. Anyway, we just wish you all a wonderful holiday season. Thank you for watching and joining us, whether you're watching now and listening or you're doing it later. We wish you the best. Uh, Please follow HRKS on all your social media outlets, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, on everything. So be sure you follow us. And if you have any HR needs, please consider us because at HRKS, we know HR. Thank you, everyone, so very much. Enjoy the rest of your December holiday season. And I will say early, Happy New Year. So,
Right.
thank you again. You were fabulous, as you
Thank
always are.
you.
And we will
Thank you,
see you all
Tanya.
next time. Thanks, everyone.
Alrighty. Bye.